We're going to talk about a lot of things. Sketchbooks, what are they? They're about exploration, playing, doing whatever you want, seeing what happens. I use all different kinds of media in my sketchbook. I use oil paint, I use colored pencil, I use acrylic paint, I use markers, I use pencils, I use the ballpoint pen you stole from your dentist's office 3 years ago and forgot you had. I use everything that I can get my hands on. I also put them together. I see how they work together, what things create a resist, what things mesh really well together, what textures do you get, all kinds of things. It's just exploration, it's playing, it's making a mess. Sometimes for example, one time I was drawing on the plane in one of my little sketchbooks and my Posca pen, because the air pressure in the plane exploded and I got blue on everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. My hands, both of them were blue and it ruined the drawing that I was working on. I was doing this thing with colored pencils, but because the Posca marker exploded all over everything, I had no napkins, I was embarrassed, social anxiety. I just smeared it on the sketchbook. This is what happened. I smeared the blue, and you can see the yellow from underneath from that colored pencil, because I was working with yellow colored pencil. The Posca marker didn't really stick to that. So I used that. I scratched into it and I made this really cool texture, and I ended up with this really, really cool face. And then I kept exploring and wanted to see what would happen when I made more faces and had them fit together when the pages were folded. And that ended up being a kind of really cool, fun thing to play with. But you can do whatever you want in your sketchbook. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I feel like young artists can be really concerned about having a personal style. And I was one of them. I used to be really concerned about that and really stressed about that. And I looked around at other artists who were around my age or younger or older, and they already had a style and I didn't. And that worried me because I felt like you need a personal style. You need your style in order to be marketable, to sell work. But what I discovered later is that just by playing and exploring all kinds of things, all mediums, techniques, everything, the style came naturally. Eventually, it just kind of all merged, and I figured out what worked for me, what didn't work for me. And that resulted in my beautiful art. But I don't want my sketchbook to become boring, the same. I still want to explore and grow as an artist, and that is something that a sketchbook is perfect for. I would tell you, please don't try and make your sketchbook beautiful. Just fuck that shit up. Just mess it up. Play, explore. Let's talk about some of these things. I had a shot of tequila. No, vodka. It's making me better. A sketchbook. A new sketchbook. Let's look at a new sketchbook. This is a new-ish sketchbook. See? See the difference? Very different. Now, this sketchbook has a lot of blank pages, a lot of nothing, a lot of boring. I lost my train of thought. Let's look at the filled sketchbook. It's better. There's things in it, things we can talk about. First page, it's not even the page, it's the cover. We've got ballpoint pen, linoleum cut, watercolor. We've got all kinds of things on it. Second page, we've got ballpoint pen, watercolor, chalk, paint marker. We've got graphite drawing taped on over something I didn't like. We've got a little bit of spray paint. I hated this drawing. But I kept revisiting it. My sketchbook is not chronological. I always flip around. I go kind of chronologically, but then when there's a page I don't like, sometimes I revisit it 4 months, 6 months, a year later. until I like that page. And that's how I end up with pages that are thick boy pages, we'll call them. No, we won't call them that. Look at this page here. This is one page. It is so thick. This is because I hated this page too, and I just glued things on top of it. I layered. There's no style in my sketchbook. Not really. Lots of different mediums, lots of different things going on. The one consistency that you will see in my sketchbooks is faces, human faces and figures. That's just something naturally that as I've explored art, I've gravitated towards. Look, so many bodies, people, but that looks nothing like, here. There's this one, and then there's this one. They look nothing alike. I just explore every different possible way of making a human face, because faces or bodies and hands are what interests me the most. And that was sort of a natural discovery. I don't have my older sketchbooks here with me, but I had one on abstraction, one on realism. Those were the prequels of exploration. And I think it's important to just play around. Look at this one. That's what makes a sketchbook cool. And it's also what's gonna help you grow as an artist. Limiting your style too early because you want cohesiveness and marketability can be good because you could sell more, but it can also hinder you and your growth as an artist. And I think that's the most important thing to be aware of. Look at this page. I used to make some art like this kind of sometimes in high school, doodling on my notes. I haven't made a piece like this in 7 years. But here it is in my sketchbook. I'm just playing. You know, and I think that's a colored pencil. Here we have a cutout from a 1950s magazine, a Turkish magazine, that I went on top of with Posca and whiteout and some acrylic paint. Next page, ballpoint pen. I know I've shown you these before. These pages are really cool. As I've said before, human faces are what I love to paint the most, to draw the most. And I created these sort of flip books here where you can fit all these different faces together. But the cool thing, the really cool thing is that, for example, this page is Posca marker, ink, colored pencil. This page is purely water-based Tombow marker. This page is colored pencil. This page is acrylic with colored pencil and Posca on top of it. This page is spray paint, Posca, and ink. These pages are solely ballpoint pen. This one has a little bit of colored pencil over the top. Here's a napkin I drew on in Nepal when I was trying to talk to a tailor that I glued in. A collage from Berlin. Everything is mixed media. Everything is seeing what I can do, how things work. It's a place of play. Don't psych yourself out about figuring out a style. Just make stuff. See what feels right. It'll come together naturally. The end.